Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Punchlines, Plots, and Procrastination. I'm your host, Yvonne Conti. Have you ever wondered how do you become a motivational keynote speaker? Well, I'm pulling back the curtain on my 30-year journey from stand-up stages to standing ovations at corporate events and Christian conferences across the United States and Canada. And today you'll learn how to get started, where to get gigs, what to charge, how to find your niche, and also how to build a brand that gets you booked again and again and again. So, whether you're just curious about it or you're ready to hit the stage, this episode is your backstage pass. So that I'm not sitting here talking to myself, I thought, who could I invite to kind of ask me questions about how I get started? Well, I decided it had to be my best friend. And my best friend in the whole world is my cousin, Nancy Pimpinella. She's been with me from the very beginning. So who better to join me today than my sister in Christ and my cousin forever? Welcome, my cousin, Nancy Pimpinella. How you doing, Nance?
Well, I'm doing fine, and it's wonderful to be here with you today. We're usually on the phone, but
I
this
know,
is
every
even
morning.
nicer.
Well, you can ask me anything you want. I'm an open book. I'll answer anything. So now's the time to get all the scoop about the family. I mean, no, now's the
No, no, not all of it. You can leave some out.
time.
Anyways, people don't really know how you actually got started
You're
in
right.
speaking.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
I know you started in comedy, so
Well, that was an accident too. I got started doing stand-up comedy, and I'll be honest, listen, I don't care if you're a faith-filled person or you're not. This is how it happened for me. I was doing stand-up comedy, and came home one night in my car after a pretty raunchy act that was on the stage, not from me, but one of the other comics. And I said a prayer. I said, Lord, you know, I really love this. I love making people laugh. It's like pouring energy into me, and it's like warm hugs from the audience to get people to laugh at what I have to say. And and so I don't want to give this up. But whatever you have in store for me, Lord, I'm not sure it's you want me to be sitting in a smoke-filled room with all this nasty words and stuff like that. That's not who I am, but I can't give this up. And I'm telling you, Nancy, it wasn't 3 days later, my phone rang. And it was a woman named Bobby Dillon. She was from Rochester. And she said, I heard you were hilarious and I want you to come and speak to our group. So I thought she wanted me to do stand up comedy because that's what I did.
naturally.
And so I got my book out and I said, okay, what's the date and when is it and where is it? And it was at the Rochester Club in Rochester, New York, which is kind of a foo-foo, highfalutin place. Business people go there. Certainly not, you know, comedy club per se. So,
Right.
but I thought, okay, I'll do anything. It was at noon. I'm thinking, how am I going to make people laugh at noon with no alcohol? You know what I mean? So, because I was only used to the comedy clubs. Well, I was talking to her on the phone and she kind of let it slip that she thought I was a speaker about laughter and humor and joy. And I
Oh,
thought, oh man, that's a great idea. So I just pretended. I said, well, I like to tailor my talks to every individual group. So what exactly do you want me to talk about? And she pretty much gave me a list, how humor affects our health and how it's connected to how we connect with other people. So I wrote it all down and then I went to the library that day and I took out every CD, DVD back in the day. This was 1995.
right.
And every book there was on humor, laughter, and joy. And I studied and researched. I put together a 20-minute set and I went to the Rochester Club and did it. I threw in a bunch of my jokes that made sense, here and there.
Right.
And I got a standing ovation from 100 people at the Rochester area fundraising executives. And my business blew up. because they were from 100 different organizations, and they just kept
Oh,
booking
wow.
me, booking me, booking me. And 30 years later, here I am. It was
Wow.
a miracle.
What a story. That was a miracle story,
Yeah,
and hard for you, because you were a single mom.
I
So it
was.
took a lot of courage to step out and do that.
It did. And I think back and I think to myself, how in the world did I do that? But I think when you have no choice, you have to move forward. It's the
Amen.
best way to get you out of your fear and all of that. I never once was afraid. Never once,
Uh-huh.
Nancy.
You know, um, you have spoken at my church many,
Yes.
many times,
Yeah.
and I've heard you speak in other places, and of course we grew up together, so
You've been
uh,
hearing me talk for 74 years.
for a long time, and I kind of know some of these answers, but a lot of people don't understand how you can navigate a room of people and bring that humor into a serious talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is it that you do that?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think what I do is a presentation. When people say, when you do your presentation, in my head, I'm thinking it's not a presentation, it's a conversation.
Uh,
I'm talking with those people. And when I get on that stage and I look at the people in front of me, I connect with them. I look into their eyes and they're going, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do talk a lot about the family because that's what I know. And the first rule of being a stand-up comic and the first rule about a motivational speaker is talk about what you know. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you better get studying because you
right.
need to be the most educated person in the room on that subject. And when it comes to humor and laughter and joy, I feel that I am very qualified in those areas. So I make it personal. I ask questions. I'll say, okay, so anybody ever have this situation? And people answer. Even in the corporate situations, they'll speak up, which is wonderful. And so
Hmm.
you include them. You're just understand you're not talking at them. You're talking with them.
You're bringing them in.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, yeah,
Connecting.
yeah,
You're connecting. And of course, whenever you make somebody laugh, here's the thing. If two people are standing in line at Wegmans or whatever, they don't know each other. Something funny happens. They turn around, they start laughing. Right away, they're connected. Oh, I got to turn off my phone. Right away, they're connected. I mean, that's what laughter does. It connects you. And
right.
so right from the get-go, as soon as they start laughing, in fact, I use your mother for my opening joke.
Well, I was going to mention her
You
as a
were.
matter of fact.
Well,
Well, because I've heard you speak, and sometimes you laugh at your own jokes.
no, I always
And
laugh at my own jokes, Nancy.
well, and she did too,
Yes.
even if they weren't funny.
Ah,
And everybody else laughed in the room because of her laugh. And you
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah. I,
that same effect on people because you have her laugh.
well, that's true, but I think people connect because they see their own aunts.
Yes,
I go, my Aunt Frances is 4 feet tall. She's 4 feet tall with a nose bigger than her head. And they just crack up laughing. You know what I mean?
you're right,
Because
right.
they all have an Aunt Frances like that or something. So that's
Yeah,
the thing. You
yeah.
gotta try to
So
connect with
how do
people.
you decide on the stories that you're going to tell?
Well, as you know, I have hundreds and hundreds of stories. And before I speak, one of my nieces asked me, what is my ritual before I speak?
Yes, I was
You were
going to
going to
ask
ask
you
me
that
that too.
question. Yeah.
Well, before I speak, I always say a prayer. And this is the prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity that you've given me to speak at this podium. I mean, it's a miracle in and of itself. And I just ask that you bring the stories to me that you want me to say. And he always does. It's like I'll say so, I'll say this. I wasn't planning on talking about this today, but for some unknown reason, I got to tell you this story. And I'll tell
Right.
the story. I'm telling you, every single time somebody will come to my table afterwards and say, that story you talked about, such and such, I'm going through that right now. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's fantastic. That's
Right.
fantastic.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
I
Right.
I do try to think about my my audience. Like if I'm speaking to teachers, I got a ton of stories about when Aubrey and Johnny were in school, when I was in school, and so I'll tell those stories because they're teachers, they get it.
Sure.
If I'm talking to nurses, I might talk about when daddy was in the hospital or when mommy was in the hospital and how wonderful the nurses were. I'll always try to educate myself at least a little bit on who my audience is. And I always ask the person that hires me, what are some things they might be going through right now? Is there
Yeah.
anything that you want me to address and stuff like that? So you know what stories to pull from who's in your audience. But so that's kind of how I do it.
So how do you go about getting yourself out there? I know from that one experience with all those people in that
Yes.
room
Yes.
really helped to catapult you into
Yeah.
this lifestyle. And has there ever been an embarrassing moment for you?
Yes. Um, most of the time I don't have embarrassing moments, and even if I do, I just laugh at them. But I was working for AAA, and the president of AAA was in the audience, and I didn't realize he was the guy that was introducing me. All right.
Oh,
Well, he introduced me, and when I was coming to the podium. Normally they wait at the podium for you, shake your hand, and then leave. But he
right.
just decided he would leave, and the two of us collided, and he fell off the stage.
Oh my goodness, I hope he didn't get hurt.
Well, I got to the podium and I said, I don't know who that was, but boy, did he fall for me. And they all laughed.
You'd have to call AAA to get him up.
I didn't think of that, Nancy, but that's hysterical. Oh, that's
Well,
hysterical.
if, if if there was a person out there that wanted to get into
Yeah.
this line of work and speaking, what would you recommend to them?
Well, okay, here's the thing. I've run into over the last 30 years a lot of people who want to be speakers and they want to know what is that secret nugget that's going to get me booked all over the country. Well, first of all, you're not going to be booked all over the country until you have a beautiful talk that's different from anybody else's and that matters. So, my
Right.
advice to any speaker or wannabe speaker is before you do anything, you sit down and you decide what really matters to you. What do you have that can help other people? For me, it was humor. Now, for somebody else, they might be talking about a sales things or something else. There's a lot of things, topics that you can talk about. So
Mhm.
the first thing is find out what you're an expert on and then write a talk that is exceptional. People don't think about that. All they think about is how do I get booked and what do I charge and this and that. The first thing you need to do is write an excellent uh, talk. Once you do that, you got to perfect it. And the only way to perfect it is to get up and do it. Well,
Right.
nobody's going to hire you if you've never done it. So call Rotary Club, call churches, call any kind of Chamber of Commerce. All of these places, they need speakers for their meetings, and they usually don't pay them, or if they do, they don't pay them much.
Mhm.
But don't think about the money. Think about getting better at what you do. Think about being the best speaker on this topic and offer to speak for nothing everywhere you can until you get a name.
Experience. Experience.
Experience, yeah.
You're gaining the experience, even though it might not be financially feasible in the beginning.
Yeah, well, don't quit your day job until you got it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But that's what I did. I spoke out. I spoke at so many Rotary clubs and
Yeah, that's the
local
best way to market yourself.
I
Sure.
did. And I
Sure.
always, by the way, I always had my business cards and I always had a flyer that explained what I did and all and passed it out. And inevitably, every single time I speak, Nancy, somebody calls me that week to speak somewhere else. In
Right.
30
Right.
years, I have never spent one penny on promotion. Other than I have a web page, but nobody goes to the web page unless you've already booked me and you just want information.
Right,
Like you
right.
want my
That's true.
headshot for your brochure or whatever.
Right,
People don't go to you don't hire a speaker that you've never heard of before. And you don't hire a speaker that that has not been highly recommended or that you haven't heard because a speaker can make or break an event. If you plan this 3 day, conference somewhere, I mean,
right.
it's a big undertaking to do that.
That's
And
very true.
and
Yeah.
then you get a speaker that's a dud, your whole conference is dead.
Right.
It's very important to
Absolutely.
get a good speaker. And you know this because you've put together conferences and stuff like that. I know for your church and
Right.
so
Right.
you know how hard it is.
Yeah,
So,
we did have a dud one time. So that was a horrible thing.
oh my
But
gosh, that's
but
terrible.
you know,
Yeah.
uh, everybody came because they wanted to see this person, and
And they turned out not to be as good as they thought.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's why
It
it's
was sad.
really important.
That was sad.
Yeah.
I know you already said what you do before you
Yeah.
get ready to
My
go out
ritual.
on stage. Yeah, your little
Yeah.
ritual. Um, I'm going to bring up a little sensitive question here.
Okay. Leave it up to my cousin to do that.
Well, I know you're at retirement age.
Past it. Yeah.
Yeah, past it. Well, uh, I was trying to be kind.
Thank you.
Why do you keep on doing this? What
Oh,
motivates you to keep on doing this?
Nancy, I wish you could feel what it feels like to have 400 people standing up for you. I wish you could feel what it feels like to hear. When I hear all that laughter, it's like mommy is hugging me. It's like mommy's hugging me because she used to love to laugh. I mean,
Yeah,
whenever I said anything funny, I think she loved me more and more because I was funny. But also too, I've had people write me letters, send me emails that say, I lost my son 2 years ago. I still can't get over it, but something you said made a difference. If you if you focus on, the money or the fame or any of that, I don't think you'll ever be really successful. But if you focus on what can I do for my audience? What can I give them? What's how when they leave the auditorium, how are they going to be any better than when they came in?
right.
Concentrate on that.
Yeah.
Understand that this is a job of giving, not getting. You're
Yeah,
you're
you're
giving to your
giving.
audience. And I'll be honest with you, when I'm done, I'm exhausted. I'm
Oh,
physically exhausted.
yeah, yeah.
Of
It
course,
takes a lot out of you.
the older I get, the worse it is. Um, but I am exhausted because I give it every bit of energy that I have. And
Yeah.
I've been drinking an awful lot of espresso lately. Before I have to do anything, I have a cup of espresso. It helps.
Well, I got a
There
mug.
you go. Oh
um,
gosh.
if you could speak anywhere in the world, where
Oh,
would you like to speak? Or who would you like to speak to?
in Sydney, Australia.
Oh,
I know, there's a place there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a big
oh, I've
arena.
seen pictures of it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you
yes,
know
yes,
what I'm
yes.
talking about. I
Yeah.
just can't think of the
Right.
name of it. But I think that would be a wonderful place to speak because, of course, people come there from all over the world. So that would be kind of cool. But also, there's something behind that, how it was built. It just seems like a place full of heart and soul and art. And of course, the views are tremendous. And I've
Oh, yeah.
never been to Sydney. I've never been to Australia. But if I had that's actually I have a little box on top of my dresser with all the stuff I want to do before I pass away. And one of them is to go there.
That's
But
a bucket
it's
list.
on the bucket list. But,
Yeah,
but wouldn't it be nice to speak there? That would be awesome.
it would be. Yes,
Yeah,
it would be.
yeah, yeah.
I got more questions back here for you.
All
I
right.
had
Well,
to in
listen,
my
you ask me
paper.
whatever you want.
But, how do you make sure your audience stays engaged?
I think the fact that they're laughing all the time helps. But I remember one time, it was actually in Utica, New York. It was at Twin Ponds. You know, Twin Ponds. All right.
Yes.
So I'm giving this talk, and the people came in and they all sat down, but there was one man sitting like this. You know, he had his arms crossed, which is like, don't bother me. You're not
Right,
getting
right.
to
Stay
me.
away.
And he was like this the whole time. And at first he was like, had his chair towards the table and I'm over here. So he wasn't even looking at me. When it started and I got the first laugh or two, he turns his chair around. And the whole time I was focused on this man. I just wanted him to in my mind I thought he's got to be so unhappy to live like that. Oh, you know. So I mean, I always think what's going on in your life that's made you so hard or
Yeah.
so sad. Nancy, he never cracked a smile the whole time I'm talking. Everybody else is laughing their pants off and he's just grumbling. But yet he came to my table afterwards and he says, I got to hand it to you. I got a lot of work back at the desk. I'd rather be there getting my work done. But no, they make us take a whole day off to come here. Goes, but I got to hand it to you. You're pretty funny. He said, I want to tell you I enjoyed your talk. You got a lot of good points there. And I'm thinking, clearly, he needed this more than anybody in the room.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
But
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
yeah, I do my best to try to get them engaged. I generally don't have any problem with it, but every now and then you get one person that's kind of, not there to laugh. They don't want to be there.
yeah. Well, that kind of answered a question as well for me that I was going to ask you was what
Well,
was the most challenging
oh no,
crowd?
I have a very good story.
Oh, you've got a different one for that.
Yeah. I was booked to speak in Cooperstown, New York at the Otasaga Hotel. And it was going to be a group of men. Now, I will tell you, women laugh more than men. So a whole room full of men is a challenge in and of itself, but I wasn't really worried. They were engineers. That's another group. They're studious. They pull things apart. They're not laughers, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
So it was going to be a group full of men, engineers. They were from Niagara Mohawk, you know,
Oh, okay, electric.
electricity. All right. So I knew it was going to be a difficult job, but it was 2 days after 9/11,
Whoa.
and the whole country was, you know, not in a good place. So I called Niagara Mohawk and I said to the lady, listen, if you want to cancel, it's not a problem. We can reschedule it for another time. And she said, no, we can all drive there because Cooperstown is not that far from Syracuse.
Hmm.
This group was from. She said, we're going to all drive there and we need this. Everybody is, we need the break away from it all. And I said, okay, what am I going to do? Well, I'll do it. So I went there. And as when I was going into the room, all these men were out in the foyer watching a big screen TV with all of the coverage. So I'm like, oh, they're putting all that into their heads before I have to talk about humor. What the heck am I going to do? So I just said, Lord, you're just going to have to help me here because I don't know what I'm going to do or say. I really don't. So I went up and I thought I have to address, the elephant in the room. So I said, the first thing I want to do is I want to be sure that we remember all those lives that were lost this week and the families that are grieving and all the workers that are, tied up and all of that and all of that. And so I kind of like said a generic, almost prayer, but I didn't bring Jesus into it because it's a
Right,
corporate group.
right, right, right,
And they were all okay with it. And I said, let's just try to put all that behind us for just an hour and
right.
talk about ways that maybe we could bring a little humor back into life. You know,
Sure.
I did my whole talk, Nancy, and I did adjust it in many places because I just thought, out of respect for what happened in our country, I kind of had to. So I did
Right.
tone it down a little and talked more about what laughter and humor does to our body. 16 major organs in your body are positively affected every single time you laugh out loud. So it's
Right.
not just a frivolous thing, it's important. So I talked more about, what laughter does for us. I didn't get one laugh. The whole group, they just sat there like this. And I thought, oh, this is awful. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I can't take this lady's money. I'm just going to have to tell her, no, it was a gift. Because I do have a 100% guarantee. If you don't like my session, I don't care if you pay me or not. That's
Uh-huh.
the contract.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
In 30 years, nobody's ever asked for a refund, though. Thank you, Jesus. But I mean, I would definitely give a refund if they didn't like what I had to give them. So I went to walk out. Every man stood up. Every man shook my hand, and every man pretty much, so many of them said, this is just what we needed. So that was really remarkable to me. It really
Yeah.
was. Because
Yeah.
and that was a time when we were all just so brokenhearted.
Oh, it was a hard time for,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
everyone.
imagine trying to do a funny thing at that time. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That was
That
a
would
hard
have been a
subject.
big challenge,
That was
but you faced it. You
that was the
faced it
biggest
head
one.
on,
Yeah.
and you met the
Thank you.
need. You
Thank you.
met the need. Yeah, yeah. That that's something that not everybody can do.
Well, like I
Not
said,
no, not everybody can do that.
yeah.
So I have to give you
Thank
kudos
you.
for that.
Thank you,
Um,
cousin.
You
Thank
know, sometimes we have to change because of the audience and the time that we're speaking to someone about. And
We do. We
yeah,
do. But
yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is that, and I've been like this since I was a kid. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of anything. The only time I ever felt fear, Nancy, was when I was in the Hurricane Ian. I
Yeah.
definitely had fear. That was the first time I ever felt fear. And I think fear comes from when you're in a situation where you have no control. That's what
And it's
brings.
unknown. It's unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're in a place where you have no control and you don't know what's going to happen, you become fearful. When I'm on that stage, I don't have a bit of fear because I know this is what I was born to do. I know this audience is going to love it. I just know it. And it
Yeah.
never fails me. I mean, thank you, Jesus. It never fails me.
Right, right,
3
right.
years. Can you
Well,
imagine?
he has been good. Um, what is something that you wish you had known before you started all this? Uh, that you know now
Well,
that you didn't know in the beginning?
yeah, something I didn't know in the beginning. Well, first of all, I didn't think it was ever going to last.
Well,
Yeah.
God had another plan.
God had another plan. But I I guess the thing I didn't, well, first of all, I didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know the protocol, none of that.
Yeah, people want to know those things.
Yeah, they do. Well, there's a lot we'll talk about that. We only have 10 minutes left, but
Okay.
um so I guess the only thing I can say is what I didn't know back then was really the business. I didn't know the business end of anything. I really didn't. I just kind of went as I went, you know? And
Yeah.
speaking of that, I got $400 for being um, the host at the comedy club for a week. So when somebody asked me how much it was in the very beginning, I said $400. And the man was hiring me to do 5 sessions. And so I figured, well, I do 5 shows for 100 for 400. So I'll do 5 sessions for 400. But when he sent me the check, he sent me 400 times 5.
Oh,
And I
wow.
thought, oh, maybe they expect more. And so I started researching a little bit to find out what it costs. But when you speak about money, I want to tell you this, and it's important. Please stop thinking about the money. The money
Yes.
does not
Yeah.
matter. I
Right.
know you
Right.
got to
Right.
feed your family. So if that's the case, then get a day job, you know, but or do something on the side to make some money. But
Mhm.
the first thing you have to concentrate on is make sure you have 1 hour that's going to just tantalize people. 1 hour that's going to make them think, that's going to make them laugh, that's going to make them change the way they do something in their life. Because when you do that, you'll be able to charge anything you want. Now, the
Mhm.
most I ever got for a speaking engagement was $10,000 for 1 hour, Nancy.
Wow.
Hour. I felt guilty taking it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did because that's a terrible lot of money, you know? But
Yeah.
basically, uh, once you grow in the business and you start working with bigger clients and bigger clients and bigger clients, you will start to understand the pricing.
Well,
I was
it's
working.
also the knowledge that you have that you're sharing.
That's true. And all the hours I spend studying about it. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
People don't
But
see that part of it.
yeah, I was working for a woman in Chicago. And she called me after the fact and she said, Yvonne, I got to tell you this. I don't know how you're going to feel. It's probably so not the norm for me to do this. But, and I had charged her, I think it was $2,000 to come and speak in Chicago. And they pay all your expenses. So, I mean, 2000 great for talking for an hour. Give me a break. That's fabulous.
Mhm.
And she said, I tell people how wonderful you are and they want to hire you. But when they ask me how much you charge and I say 2000, they go, no, I wanted a professional.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they do expect you to charge more. But
Uh-huh.
here's the thing. If you charge more and you go and you do a terrible job, you're not going to get any more referrals. So
Uh-huh.
don't
Uh-huh.
focus on the money. Focus on being the best that they've ever seen. So
Right.
that's what I'll say
Right.
about money.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know. I think I'm out of questions.
you're out of questions. Did you answer all the questions my niece asked?
I believe I did.
All right. Okay.
Um,
I don't know where I
it
put the.
was rituals. If you could speak anywhere.
Yeah, you got
Yes, I
it.
did.
Okay. That's great. Well, listen, I'm thrilled to death that you were able to do this with me, Nancy. You're honestly, you are the closest person to me in my life, even though you live all those hundreds of miles away. Uh, I couldn't live without you, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And I just wanted you to know that. I got to tell you something really
Well,
funny.
you know it's
So,
mutual.
I'm dressed today, and I'm trying to rush around. And I put this ring on, and I put my earrings on and all. And I'm like, where is my other ring? I had it on yesterday. I went in the kitchen, the living room, the dining room. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find the darn ring. I went back in the bedroom and I went, where is my ring? And I'm like, oh, it's on. Had it on.
Well,
All right. So let me do a little closing here. Um, yeah. So I'm really grateful, Nancy. Thank you for everything.
oh,
Uh,
you're very welcome.
Yeah, and I hope it helps somebody who's looking to be a speaker. And if not, you want to email me, I'll answer any other questions you got out there. But
Sure.
next week, be sure and join us for episode 4. My good friend is going to be here, and the topic is I Hear Voices, the life of a professional voiceover actor. And my guest is Kurt Boomer Shank, one of the most versatile voice actors in the business. He's a radio and TV personality and veteran. He's made a career out of becoming just about anybody at all, just using his voice. So hit that like button and please hit that big black subscribe button. That helps us a lot. And leave a comment, and I'll see you next time on Punchlines, Plots, and Procrastination. This is Yvonne Conti, inspiring joy, sharing truth, changing lives, and make it a joy filled, beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks again, Nancy. Love you.
Love you.